I'm your host, Jupiter, and this is Kyle is Famous. Let's start. Kyle wakes up. He is famous. Kyle is host of the most popular talk show in recent memory, Stay Up Late with Kyle. Stay Up Late with Kyle has grown in popularity quickly in the last year, and the public has noticed. Inside has called a most excellent dumpy white man. Top Tech noted that Kyle is inspiring youth to explore STEM fields. Most other talk shows are dedicated to discussing Kyle and his personal details. Most online videos are best of clips taken from Kyle's latest broadcast. The eye of the world is upon Kyle. Okay. Tonight is Kyle's most important guest interview yet. Stay Up Late with Kyle will be featuring Rachel May. She is a kind and lovely philanthropist. She is dear to the hearts of many. This interview requires preparation. Kyle cracked his eyes open, knowing today is his last chance to prepare for the interview. Kyle has 30 hours left. He must choose his action wisely. Okay. Kyle's first decision of the morning was made wisely. Sick to bed. I'm not gonna wither away. That would be dumb. Okay. Ending one. No, I did say it has multiple endings. We're not gonna go with that one. To start off with, that'd be a little dumb. Kyle exited his bed and took a quick glance around his bedroom. Scavenge, open the closet, sit at the desk. I think I'll do that one, yes. I am Kyle. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. Write notes for interview. Back to room. Check in desk drawer. Kyle opened up his desk drawer on. Kyle opened up the desk. Wow. Kyle opened up the side drawer on his desk and grabbed one of the items stored there. Kyle grabbed the small key he kept in his desk. Kyle made his way over to the desk and sat down. Kyle wrote down his first question. Okay, for the interview. Are you a mother? Am I a mother? Is your mother a mother? Am I a mother? Are you a mom? Beef mashed or blended? What's your funniest story? Do you ever smile? I purposely ran over a puppy. Why the fuck would you do that, Kyle? I don't know. What's your guilty pleasure? Do you feel guilty? Are you guilty? Do you feel guilty? Kyle ripped his page of notes out of the notebook and got up from his desk. Got 19 hours. Checking drawer, sorted change, back to desk, 16 hours, back to room, scavenge, quickly crouched down on the floor, realizing his immediate need for gossip.
What are you so happy about?
Huh. Kyle firmly pressed his ear into the carpet, hoping to hear some stray words from the neighbors below. I heard Rachel May is going on a trip out of the country soon. Oh, girlfriend, tell me more. Well, what I will tell you is that every night I don a mask that looks like a bug and fright misdoers. There was a stunned silence. Then a door opened and someone exited the neighbor's apartment. That's quite enough. Open the closet. Choose an outfit. Skunk pasties? No. Back to room. Scavenge. Bugs. Pick between the fuzz of his bedroom carpet, hoping to catch a stray beetle or two. I don't know why. Save for later use. Cool. Exit bedroom to hallway. Cal hurried to the set. Let me take a drink of water here. Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. Approach Rachel. Good evening, Kyle, she said, looking him in the eyes. I've been looking forward to being here. I don't know, that is a messed up voice for her, but cool. Screaming, spinning circles, yeah, because that's... Kyle started to stretch out his arms wide, tilted his neck upwards, and was interrupted by his producer telling him and Rachel that it was time to start the show. Start interview. A moment after seating, the studio lights brightened and the cameras clicked on. Holy shit, gossip about the neighbor. Good evening, everybody. And said my neighbor is a bug vigilante. With nothing more to say on the matter, he fell silent. Rachel also in the camera stared at her hands and wondered when she was going to be introduced. The producer started cutting to different camera angles to break the tension. Kyle continued to remain silent and stare forward blankly. After several minutes, neighbor Gabby walked out onto the set. Okay, why did she do that? Hi everyone, she said, smiling hollowly. My name is Gabby and I'm not a bug vigilante. False. Kyle looked at Gabby and then returned staring. False. I don't give a fuck what you say. I had my ear to the floor. I heard you. You were doing what? Nothing. Oh, shut up. Gabby began to reply, but was interrupted by a bug-shaped intercom on her belt. Girl, it squawked. A robbery is in progress. On East 3rd. Report. Gabby threw the intercom on the ground and crushed it under her foot. After a beat, she spoke again. Something has come up suddenly and I must go. Gabby left the set. Well, said Kyle, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for joining us, Rachel. Kyle got up, shook Rachel's hand again, and walked past the cameras, leaving her alone. Not knowing what else to do, the producer ended the freaking broadcast. That was a weird show. Yo, in the coming days, fans of both Rachel and Kyle dubbed this show as a masterpiece of television. I bet it was. It was totally unscripted. I didn't even script that. What? What? Stay up late with Kyle's online pages were updated to reflect this broadcast as the most popular ever. Kyle's producer later tried to have Rachel on the show again, but she was very, 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 very busy. Kyle talked about Gabby was to wither away. To put wither away. Kyle withered away successfully. He died. Wow, that's now a ghost. This does not relieve him of his responsibilities. Okay, I'm getting up out of my bed anyway. Kyle, I'm a ghost. I'm Ghost Kyle. Ghost Kyle has no body. I'm free to do whatever I want. I'll go over here. I'll go over there. I'm everywhere. Watch this. Now I'm up over here. Waha. Now I'm over here. Waha. Now I'm going over here. Now I'm going over here. Now I'm going over here. Now I'm over here and over here and over here and over here and over here. I'm a ghost. So, what am I gonna do as Kyle? I'm gonna open up my closet. Open the closet, it was dark and he could only really see his hanging shirts. Skunk pasties. Cause I'm a ghost. Chose the pasties made out of mashed skunk flesh. Getting the slimy garments to stay proved difficult, so Kyle opted to stick them to his body with hot glue. Nice. I'm gonna go scavenge. I'm gonna hear some more gossip.
What are you so happy about?
About bugs. That's quite enough. Sit at my desk. Check in the drawer. Small key. Back to desk. Write notes. Am I a mother? Ever eaten a raw egg? Do you ever smile? What's your guilty pleasure? Back to my desk. Back to my room. Scavenge. Bugs. More. Eat. I don't know. Kyle threw back his head and crammed the sticky, wriggling mass into his mouth. He felt refreshed. Why? Because I'm a ghost. Ghost with the most. I do what I want. I'm the host. I'm gonna exit. Hurried to the set. Per normal, he ceased to be a ghost before he arrived. Sitting across from his host chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. Rachel looked up, smiled. She said, looking him in the eyes, "Yeah." Answered politely. "And as well, Rachel," answered Kyle, extending his hand in greeting. "You are a most welcome guest." Shake hand. After other mild exchange of pleasantries, Kyle and Rachel were prompted to take their places for the broadcast. A moment after seating, the lights brightened and the cameras clicked on. Start broadcast. "Good evening, everyone," said Kyle, looking at the camera. "Welcome back to Stay Up Late with Kyle." Introduce Rachel. Kyle vomited up all the horrible things he had eaten earlier onto the floor. Look, Rachel looked at Kyle concerned, gave a couple coughs and decided to play it cool and keep the show running. Kyle stopped, then vomited again and continued with the shaky voice. "Tonight I have the pleasure of interviewing the lovely Rachel May, who needs no more introduction." Kyle motioned to Rachel, who smiled and waved at the camera. "Hello, Kyle," she said. "I'm glad to be here." Well, I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss, so we might as well dive right in," said Kyle. "I'm very ready," said Rachel with a winning smile. Kyle produced the notes he had taken earlier. "Do you ever smile?" Seriously, Kyle spat his question out viciously. Rachel stopped smiling. "If you're going to be on the show, you need to smile, okay?" said Kyle. "You're here to get views, and you'll get more views if you smile. Here, I'll show you." Kyle turned to the camera and gave the audience a huge teeth-clenched, bug-eyed grimace. Rachel nodded and obviously wanted to move on. Kyle asked another question. "I'm fine." "Am I a mother?" Kyle looked very serious, which was really unsure of how to respond. "Well, Kyle, I think you might be a better source of answering that question than I am. But do you think I'm a mother?" asked Kyle, pushing further. Rachel paused for a second before answering. "I think you inspire youth to pursue STEM fields," she answered. Kyle asked another question. "Ever eaten a raw egg whole?" "Just want to see." Like shell and all? Like, I'll continue. I have like a loss. It's like really bad though, so sometimes I spit it back up. So like, bleh. And I don't know why I do it to myself. I'm like, that looks delicious. And I'm like, and I eat it. And then a couple of seconds later, it just, and it comes back up. That is sickening. Just thinking about it. There was a silence. But actually, it gets you easier the more you do it, continued Kyle without losing momentum, so don't start, I say. Why would it get easier the more you do it? Rachel chose not to answer and look in another direction. Kyle asked another, what's your guilty pleasure? Oh, well, that's an answer easy. That's an answer easy. What the? I just read that backwards. That's an easy answer. Dipping pickles in chocolate sauce. It might sound strange, but it's tangy and sweet at the same time. I don't know why she went southern, now she's a man. It might sound strange, but it's tangy and sweet at the same time. I eat it too far, too often. After reading his final question, looked up from his paper. Well, Rachel, he said, I think that's all I was planning on asking you, you fuck. If that's the case, Kyle, may I ask you something in return, Asper? If that's the case, Kyle, may I ask you something in return? What on earth are you wearing? Are they made of stock? Before Kyle could answer, the camera shut down. The broadcast was over. Returned home knowing the interview had gone well. But as he lay in bed and drifted to sleep, he felt something was still missing. Very wet. Huh. Began to comb through the damp piles of filth and mold when explorer in search of helpful items. After finding and eating a few bits of crumbs and old cheese, Kyle found something much more important. Indeed, it was the corpse of Harry. A friend had gone missing years ago while at Harry's house. What the fuck? Kyle was glad to see him again, but was unsure of whether to interrupt such an important day with Harry's business. Deal with Harry. Kyle hoisted Harry onto his shoulder and took him outside. Kyle began dragging Harry's body down the street, drawing many, many stairs. Kyle knew exactly where he needed to take Harry's corpse on a lovely play date. Just the two of them. Kyle and Harry stared at the arcade. Kyle used Harry's arms to operate the joysticks. Woohoo! Come on, Harry, we're having fun. Just me and Harry, my old dead buddy. After 5 or 6 different games, the two friends had enough tickets for a single candy bar. Oh, they took their prize to the local park for a good old eating. Kyle tried to feed some of the chocolate bar to Harry, but Harry seemed not to have an appetite. He just wouldn't go nums. After eating, Kyle noticed a nearby playground. He dragged Harry over to it. Kyle tried to figure out a way to swing Harry on the swing set, but lacking the ability to grip, Harry kept falling out. Bad Harry. Instead, Kyle started to lug Harry to the top of the slide and shove him down time and time again. Finally, Kyle took Harry to the movies to see as many popular films as their pocket change allowed. Kyle quickly found that he had no pocket change, so he searched through Harry's corpse until he found his wallet. Kyle bought 2 tickets to a love romance. After getting inside, Kyle left Harry to go find a restroom. By the time Kyle had finished using the restroom, he had forgotten that he brought Harry along. Kyle watched a love romance by himself. Harry's corpse sat on a bench in the atrium. While Kyle was in the movie, a beautiful thing happened. Harry's corpse, imbued with the power of friendship and love, was reanimated. Harry's old, rotten flesh gained color and life. His fingernails regrew. His missing eye came back. By the time the movie was over, Harry was able to greet Kyle with a large, friendly hug as his old self. Kyle was confused but delighted that his long-lost friend met him on his way out of the theater. The two made plans to get drinks together and parted ways for the day. Kyle returned home, forgetting about the interview with Rachel. Help a friend out. Holy shit! I brought my friend back to life. That's cool. And my own mother, diet tips. I ran over a puppy purposefully. What's your guiltiest pleasure? Back to my desk. Checking my desk drawer, I found a flashlight. Kyle grabbed the flashlight, but after jiggling the switch, he found it was out of batteries. Checking my drawer. Small key, back. Checking my drawer, started change, back. 12 hours. Open the closet. Choose an outfit. Suit of armor. Scavenge. Resources. It's time to start the broadcast. Okay. Kyle collapsed on the floor from a combination of stressful preparation and not eating anything. Kyle had passed out. Nobody in the studio quite knew what to do with him. They began to poke Kyle in the back to see if he moved. After a while, the end of the broadcast shut off the lights and went home. Kyle was left face first on the floor. He prepared for starting himself. So I got somewhere new here. What are some diet tips? Is your mother a mother? I purposely ran over a puppy. Everyone in the studio froze. Kyle spread his hands out wide. It's a joke! He started laughing from the bottom of his stomach. Nobody laughed with Kyle. Several minutes later, he stopped laughing and moved on. Kyle asked another question. Is your mother a mother? So, said Kyle, my mother is my mother mother's mother is her mother, and my mother's mother, and many mothers have mother is their mother. Rachel went to answer and stopped. I believe, she said eventually, that I should answer yes. I got you on that one. Are you guilty? Threw his questions on the floor, stood up, and pointed at her. Are you guilty? Rachel's eye twitched slightly. Guilty of what, dear Kyle? She smiled disingenuously. Guilty, spat Kyle, of your crimes. Rachel did not answer. Her eyelids both started twitching uncontrollably. Kyle asked another question. What are some diet tips? Rachel, you managed to keep such a thin and healthy figure, said Kyle. What is your best diet tip? Well, a good diet starts with a plan. And don't break it. Cheat days can turn into a habit. But she continued that doesn't mean a midnight snacker there isn't allowed. Kyle looked at his flabby self, decided to not comment, and moved on. Well, I think that's all I was planning on asking you. If that's the case, may I ask you something in return? Why did you want to wear swimming goggles? Had gone well. Very well. Okay. Oh, shit. I can leave my apartment. And I'm gonna visit the tech store. Kyle walked into the clean white tech store. He was greeted by Techno Jim, an elaborate cut-out mascot with flashing lights. Ask attendant for a free sample. Steal Techno Jim. Quickly, before the attendant could acknowledge him, Kyle grabbed Techno Jim by the shoulders. Finding that Techno Jim's cardboard feet were bolted to the ground, Kyle started to pull upwards forcefully. After several tugs, Techno Jim broke free, leaving one foot and one leg behind. Kyle glanced at the attendant, who was staring bewildered, and ran outside. Kyle walked out into the middle of the road and took a long, pondering look around him. Visit downstairs neighbor. Approached his neighbor downstairs, knocked on the door. Middle-aged woman named Gabby answered the door. She looked at Kyle expectantly. Treat and start consume Gabby. Unhinged his jaw and swallowed Gabby whole. Job done. Kyle returned to the middle of the street. Back to the hallway. Returned to my apartment. Moved to the kitchen. Opened my fridge. Kyle opened the fridge, intending to find something to eat. Eat the fridge. Kyle pointed his neck directly upwards and hoisted the fridge on top of his face. Somehow, miraculously, he wrapped his mouth around the device. He started to swallow. In one slow, horrible movement, the fridge slid down Kyle's throat. After many gurgles, pops, and snaps, Kyle felt relatively sure the fridge would not come back out. Turned to the hallway, check locked door. Check. Kyle walked over to the strange door in the hallway, but found quickly that the door was locked from inside. Forced the door with forehead. Kyle decided it would be the best to try to force the door open with the use of his face. You always have to use your face. Ah, man, that would hurt. Okay. After smashing his facial features into solid wood for several minutes, Kyle gained severe short-term amnesia. Return to bedroom. Sit at desk. Write notes for interview. Are you a mother? Ever eaten a raw egg? What's your funniest story? Are you guilty? Looked at Rachel. Rachel's smile quickly turned to shock as she really not put on clothes that day. Kyle waved and smiled. Rachel uncomfortably averted her eyes. Whoops. Started making his rounds around the room, greeting each crew member. No one looked at him directly. La 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 la. La 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 la. Just my big old meat swinging around. I thought today was let your junk and meat hang out. Just be yourself day, you know, that just be free day. Only inside the workplace though. I drove here with clothes on and I took them off before I got it. Fucking weird. As it became apparent that Kyle had no intention of leaving, Rachel had made some excuses and exited the set. One by one, the crew followed. Kyle was left all alone. By being a nudist. Intending to find something to eat, I ate. Kyle started scraping the streaks of crud and spots of black mold off of the wall of his fridge. I just made a really bad decision. I don't know why I would do that. After balling up the filth from the sides of the fridge, Kyle bit into the crusty, moist ball, which is just really nasty. Don't do that. Several minutes of chewing later, Kyle finished chewing and swallowed the ball whole. Spit that out, you nasty motherfucker. It was locked with a small keyhole. Unlocked. The pantry door creaked as if it hadn't moved for years, but eventually opened. Chug a bottle of lard. Grab a bottle of lard. Grabbed a bottle of large and then stashed it on his person for later. Okay, right to the set. I did not put on clothes again this day, so it's gonna be the same damn thing. Good evening, everyone, said Kyle looking at the camera. Welcome to Stay Up Late. Tonight I have the pleasures of this turd. Alright. Kyle motioned to a turd who smiled and waved to the turd who turned a turd. Well, I'm sure we'll have lots to discuss, so might as dive right in, said Kyle. Drinklord, dive right into this bottle! That is Kyle, this bottle of lard, bit the top right off and chugged that motherfucker. Kyle's body rejected lard and began to spew chocolate lard and digestive fluid in every direction. Woo! Party! Everything within a 10-foot radius was immediately covered, including Rachel. Continued to vomit. Yeah, it's a vomit party. Bravely fought to stay seated amidst the vomit, hoping to save the show from disaster. Unfortunately, Kyle's vomit had covered all of the cameras. There was no broadcast. Kyle finished spewing eventually. The broadcast was not recoverable. All present, all presents all present were sent home to try again another day. As Kyle got home, he made a mental note to refill his large supply. Consumed. Browse social media. Kyle started to scroll through news articles on his phone. Stay Up Late with Kyle ranked number 1 and number 2 on television. Read more. New East Bridge being constructed after being found to not actually exist. Okay. Another grand larceny and crime spree streak. Evidence points to perpetrator fleeing the country. Rachel May to unexpectedly leave the country on a very, very long vacation after interview tonight. Who is the Buck vigilante recently spotted pursuing, not pursuing. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't do that. Kyle fails to show up to several charity events. Uh-oh. Bug Vigilante shows up to charity event with fresh baked pastries. Hot dogs making resurgence as fuel source for base humans and tugboat. Phone model recalled Technogym store blamed overuse by customers. Kyle phone explodes in his hands from reuse. What the fuck? Give review of free sample. This phone, said Kyle, is several years old and has exposed wires coming out of the back. Kyle continued, the phone also has screen issues after I used it to hammer nails into the wall for painting. Furthermore, when I submerged it in water, it gets really shocked until it runs out of battery. Why the fuck would you do that, Kyle? They didn't look at Kyle's personal lips and said nothing. Phil, he had made his argument constantly. Kyle, you're an idiot. You're an idiot, Kyle. I'm gonna eat all the condiments from the fridge, squirt them into his mouth and both hands. The rate at which ketchup, soy sauce, and other items over his ability to swallow. It's virtual. Kyle continued until all the condiments had been emptied. I didn't do anything. I didn't put on clothes either. visit downstairs neighbor. Kyle approached his downstairs neighbor door and knocked. Greet and start the conversation. Good morning, neighbor, said Kyle. Gabby looked at Kyle. Asked Gabby about Kyle. Asked Gabby about Rachel. Asked Gabby about Gabby. Tell me about yourself. Oh, she said, putting on a fake smile. Just sit around here. Yes, I don't get around much. Never go out at night. I just stay here. Right here, Gabby glared at Kyle. Convinced by Gabby's statement, Kyle bid her goodbye and returned to the street. In a shock, Kyle realized he had never bothered to prepare any notes for the interview. Oh no! I didn't prepare notes. Knowing he had eyes of millions upon him, Kyle came up with a solution quickly. Blamed Rachel for the lack of notes. Played dead. Kyle slumped in his seat and played dead. Kyle, what are you up to? Asked Rachel, still smiling. Kyle did not respond and hoped nobody would ask questions. Kyle, why are you pretending to be dead? I can see you breathing. Kyle held his breath. Lucifer whispered to Rachel over her ear, give him a couple of slaps across the face and see if he wakes up. Rachel got up from her chair, walked up, and slapped him firmly across the face. Rachel slapped Kyle contentiously. Wow, he's not play acting. Other members of the crew stepped into frame to start slapping Kyle as well. Soon Kyle was lost in the massment of people around him, all slapping his face with those hands. Someone for many hours, Kyle did not wake up. Eventually, Kyle did not. Wow. Wow, he did not need to pretend to be Uh-oh, I forgot to do notes again. I'm going to blame Rachel. Rachel, I need you to be honest. You're not terribly interesting, and I could not think of what I should ask you. In fact, continued Kyle, I would far rather interview a fish than I would you. And furthermore, said Kyle, I'm not sure I could tell the difference between you and a fish. Kyle leaned back in his chair and desperately hoped the blame had been shifted adequately. Really? Okay. Left the studio. Kyle no longer had a guest and spent the next 42 minutes staring at the camera silently. By blaming others. There you go. That's how you get an ending. Rachel did not answer. Her eyelids both started twitching uncontrollably. Rachel began to run towards the exit. On her way, she swatted Kyle's phone out of his hand. Trevor! Kyle spun out his leg. Rachel stumbled and crashed through the floor. In a moment, she was on her feet. She drew a blunt weapon seemingly out of thin air and started to swing at Kyle. Before Kyle had a chance to react, a figure burst through the roof and blocked Rachel's attack. It was a middle-aged woman in a bug-shaped mask. She was a brandishing a bug-shaped stick. The woman began to fight with Rachel, flicking her weapon back and forth with surprising speed. Rachel tried to fight back, but it was obvious she was no match for her. One quick move, the bug vigilante piled on her head and broke straight to Rachel's feet. Weapon clouded into the floor. Rachel attempted to run again, but was met Rachel was charged with 7 cases of grand larceny. Damn! After her first month in jail, Rachel started a reality TV show filmed in her cell about prison cooking. The show gained immense popularity, and somehow the public began to love Rachel all the more. What the fuck? Cal made guest appearances on Rachel's show many times. Oh, cool. Okay. The identity of the bug vigilante was never known. She remained a mysterious but important part of local law enforcement. Rachel started a new show. Cal produced the notes he had taken earlier. Are you a mother? Rachel, I and many others would love to know, are you a mother? Cal looked up from his notes. Well, being a single woman with a career, she answered, that's not something that has crossed my mind. Very reasonable indeed, said Kyle. He referenced his paper of questions. Do you ever fucking smile? Huh? Do you? I'll show you how to smile. You're not smiling. Let's move on. Are you blended? Mashed. Oh, okay. Are you guilty? The police ordered me. Let her go. Now to be seen again in the coming days, the grand larcenies that had been plagued the city stopped. Was credited with exposing Rachel's crime spree, but nobody remembered in a couple weeks. A month later, in the European city that Rachel had planned her vacation to, crime rates skyrocketed. Alright. Well, that's Kyle's famous, everybody. That's all the endings I'm gonna do. Man, that game really got me. Got me going there, man. That was fucked up. I liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been your host, Jupiter, and I just made Kyle famous.